Hi guys, I'm Matt from UKhammocks. Today we're just going to cover underquilt setup. It's kind of the bane of so many hammock campers' lives. Getting it right, it's getting to winter now, we're kind of end of November. It's a time when the underquilt really needs to be fitted properly. If you get it slightly wrong, you can have a pretty miserable night's sleep. So I'm out with the expedition, we've just filmed on that, and there's another kind of item obviously I wanted to show you was a new Dutch Argon Fabric that's coming into the shop and it's going to be available on our quilts within the next couple of weeks. So as soon as Dutch works out how to get the fabric onto a roll for me, we're good to go. This is a full length winter underquilt, got around about 550-600 grams of down in it. I say about because I don't actually know, I was just kind of stuffing it when I filled it up to bring it out to film. The best way to clip your quilt on, in my opinion, is I don't use underquilt tri-plates and things on top. If I've got a full length quilt, it will just clip straight on. It's got enough length to give it enough pull, as long as your elastic's tight enough, and that's kind of the key feature here. I've got two little S-beaners, and you can just pop the elastic over the end. So I'm going to take the first one, and I'm just clipping it in to the bit of amsteel that's off the buckle. If you've got whoopee slings, just clip it onto your whoopee slings that edge. Pull your quilt round and clip it up. So you can see there that the quilt's actually pulling the bottom of the hammock up. Sit there, make sure obviously all the hammock's inside the quilt. Stretch your quilt out on its elastic. That's what I'm looking for when I set my quilt up. I want this elastic line to almost be horizontal. There's a lot of sag in that. I'm not going to damage the elastic or the quilt by getting into this hammock. The main issue, people don't always tension up the ends. Obviously there's draw cords on the end here where we can tension these up. Not having those tight is going to create a channel of cold air just coming either at your feet or at your back. Normally at your feet, obviously you're quite broad at the shoulders, so that's going to stretch down and it's quite tight across your back. But at your foot ends, your feet are normally pushed right over into one pocket, and you can imagine you're just going to open up a cold air gap there that's going to allow the cold air underneath the quilt. Another good way to test whether your quilt's nice and tight, you undo your zips on your hammock, push your hand down in the base of the hammock, and put your other hand in between the quilt and the hammock, and you should have around about ½ inch gap. You should be able to feel the fabric of both the hammock and the quilt on your hand. You shouldn't be squashing down into the underquilt. Obviously you're going to start knocking the air out of it, which is going to get you cold, and obviously you don't want a huge gap, but the reason for that is, although a huge gap will work, it's only if you stay still. Because as soon as you move, you're going to knock all that warm air out and it's going to be recirculating cold air. You've then got to warm that air up, very much like a wetsuit where you're warming the water up in the wetsuit. We're warming the air up that's in this down. So the more you're kind of fidgeting around, you're knocking that hot air out and you're going to be filling it with cold, and you're going to end up with cold spots momentarily while it warms up again. Having a good fit is going to keep you warm, and ultimately it's going to keep you safe if you're trapping into big minus temperatures. You obviously don't want your quilt to be sat on the floor. I'll just whip my boots off. We'll see how this one sets up. So I'm actually pushing the top of the quilt with my feet there. I don't know whether you can see that, but my foot's actually tucked into the quilt. And the other bit's up around my head. So I'm fully encapsulated in this underquilt. And another good way, again, another way to check is put your arm inside. You should be able to feel that fabric on both sides of your hand. But again, there shouldn't be an overly large amount of tension there. And I can get in this, my head's covered, so there's no need for me to be wearing a hat, although you might want it on the top of your face or the other side of your head. And my feet are fully enclosed inside the quilt. So really, when you set up correctly, there's no reason at all why you should get any cold spots. Your feet are tucked in the quilt, your head's tucked in the quilt, and then we're going to supplement that with the top quilt on top. And you'll be good down to whatever temperature your kind of quilts are rated to. With this setup, with this amount of fill, I generally use a 3-season top quilt. And we were down to -18 in Scotland last year, and we had absolutely no problems at all. And I know a lot of you guys are out in Norway at much colder temperatures, really testing these quilts as far down as they'll go. And that's kind of you know, the baseline of where we're pushing this stuff. And you can supplement that with your own personal clothing. You could take a down jacket in with you, down sleeves on your feet, down booties. You know, you could kind of go the whole hog. So that's a very basic, very quick quilt setup, but I hope it kind of clears a few myths up for you, and just ensure that, you know, you're going to get a warm night's sleep in your quilt. Also, check back to the shop, like I say, for the new Dutch Argon Fabric. It's phenomenally light, it's beautifully soft, it's going to make a real comfy top quilt, especially if we were doing it on the inside of a layer as well as you know, the outside. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.